What's up guys, Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about AI. So in this video, I really want to talk about how AI is affecting our lives, the applications for it in the future, the benefits, and then some things that we should be cautious about. So first things first, AI is here to stay. It's so prevalent. Companies have integrated it into like their search engines. I feel like doctors' offices are even using it. It's basically everywhere. Even on YouTube videos, AI will pretty much give a summary of what you said and it'll give its own analysis. So even on this video, once I post it, there's an AI overview. So AI is pretty incredible. Okay, so I want to talk about the medical applications of AI and how it's going to affect us in the future. So I think AI in terms of medical care is incredible. It's amazing. And I think it's definitely something, there's going to be huge growth. Obviously, the medical field is always growing. There's always people needing surgeries and medical care and things like that. So, with the medical field, I know that AI is going to be like huge. Like Neuralink, for example, which is Elon Musk's company. There's tons of them, but I'm gonna talk about Neuralink because that is the most prominent one, since Elon Musk is basically the richest man in the world and he's also the most public face in terms of you know space exploration, AI, technology, green technology. He's just kind of the face out there who you associate with like a tech billionaire. So with Neuralink, it is the brain implant, and it basically works by, well, because our brains have neurons, and that's how they send messages. So we can speak and move our fingers and do all the things we do in our day to day. So Neuralink is a brain chip that also uses electrical signals, and in theory, it can help people who have had like paralysis, like a stroke, or it can help them like regain their speech and some motor functions and things like that. And then with AI being integrated into it, we can actually see even more progress for patients, uh, potentially. So, as far as the medical applications for like stroke victims or people that have been paralyzed or, you know, blindness or whatever the case may be, I think AI integrated into this type of technology can be wonderful. It can be very beneficial. It can help people have a better quality of life. Um, as far as other applications for the brain implants, um, there's so many brain disorders. There's like dementia and Alzheimer's, and there's just all types of things, and hopefully these these AI enabled brain chips can help people. Um, so yeah, anyway, that is what I think about AI in the medical field as far as the brain goes. Now, as far as prosthetics, I think AI also will play a huge role in that because, when people lose a limb, there is, this whole process of, making a cast for, the part that's missing, and then constructing the limb, whether you want to use like carbon fiber or different metals, whatever the case may be. But when AI is integrated into this, it will make people much more independent because the AI will be able to kind of predict what the person's reaching for, grabbing for, depth perception. It can figure out how far the item is away from the person who's trying to grab it, and then it'll be able to grip it with the right strength, There's just so many applications. Um, it'll be incredible. It'll be amazing. I really, and we have prosthetics already that are like cutting edge, top of the line type of prosthetics. But with AI, it's going to be even better. So, people with brain disorders, people who have lost limbs, they will definitely benefit from AI. So, as far as the medical field goes, I'm really enthusiastic about that. I would love to see people regain mobility and speech and things like that. If I can find the study, I will link it below. But there has even been, I believe, researchers were finding out ways for AI, little microscopic robots, to specifically target cancer cells and not healthy cells. So I'll look into that more if I can find the article. Um, if it's from like a university that's like pretty reputable, I will link that down below. If it's not like a super reputable thing, again, I'm not trying to do a research paper here. I might just link an article from like, you know, Google or whatever the case may be, just so you guys can at least see it. You know, it's, it doesn't have to be like a thing you use for a research paper or anything. So it may not be a scholarly source, but I just want you guys to be able to look at it so you can see what I'm talking about. So that'd be great because it's like, who doesn't want to cure cancer, right? Like, shouldn't we all want to cure cancer? I feel like we want to cure cancer. I feel like AI can help us cure cancer. I mean, I think everyone knows somebody who has like either suffered from cancer or died of cancer, you know? So it's one of those things where I feel like everybody could get on board with it as far as the AI targeting cancer cells. So, as far as the medical field goes, the possibilities are endless. Now, as far as AI goes, we also have to be pretty cautious about certain things because let's talk about weapons and missiles and war, because that's the other thing. AI is here to stay, it's not going anywhere, and people are going to want to integrate AI into their drones, and eventually we're going to have um, humanoid, uh, basically drones, battle droids, basically. I mean, it sounds like I'm talking about Star Wars, but there's gonna be like droids, like humanoid robots that are enhanced with like AI that can basically be on the battlefield, and they can be out there shooting. They can be operating tanks. The tanks could have AI. It's all going to be there. That's the other thing about AI. It's going to be used for military purposes, whether you want it to or not. The only question is, how can we regulate it and how can it be done safely to where, an AI drone or droid won't fire on a civilian. So that's going to be a whole another can of worms once once we see AI on the battlefield. It's just going to be crazy, man. And that is the issue, because we have to make sure that, say you have drones and these droids in battle, they have to be able to distinguish like a combatant versus a civilian. And then of course there will be like medical droids, which are going to be non-combatants, which are basically going to be on the battlefield, and they're going to care for people who have been shot and take care of their wounds. And let's say they need like an amputation, like right there on the battlefield. We're going to have medical droids that basically do that. So it's crazy to think about, but it's really not that far away when you consider everything AI has done in just the short amount of time that it's been here. So, it hasn't been militarized yet, but it is going to be. And that is the aspect of AI that is a little bit more ominous, and um, it's a little bit more unpredictable. So, medical applications, I am definitely all on board with medical applications for AI. So, people can be helped and they can live better lives. But for the battlefield, it's something we need to be way more cautious about. So, anyway, that is just like two two different elements of AI I wanted to talk about. One being, the medical side that's going to make people's lives better. It's going to help people. It's going to make the world a better place. And then the other being military war and battle, which, you know, every nation has wars. Every nation has a military. Every nation has their own, you know, their own weapon stockpiles and whatnot, and they have generals and all those things, but we have to be careful with how AI is going to be used on the battlefield because we're talking about weapons of war here that can, end all life on Earth. We're talking about nuclear weapons, obviously there is a huge potential for the human race to actually just be blown up. But again, there's going to be safeguards in place, hopefully, for those types of things. But anyway, that's just like a quick rundown on the benefits of AI, the way I see it in the medical field, and then what we need to be cautious about with AI in terms of weapons and military.